Hello everyone and welcome back to another part in this character creation tutorial series, and today we'll do the texture now that our shader is set up for the most part. Our two other shaders, the metallic and the skin one, we'll look at a little bit later. For now we'll just work with one and do those variations at the very end. So today we need to set up our color texture, and for that what I want to do is let me actually match the resolution of this. So we want to do a new image, I guess we work in image editor. We can just hit X here, I believe, and create a new one. This is going to be our color, let's just call it reg _C for color. I'll set that to 2020 48, I mean, to 2048. And for the other settings we can just leave them as they are. So that should give us a new black texture. Color space RGB, that's fine as well. And I quickly want to mention something, I'm sorry, I almost forgot that. You maybe you remember how we had a bit of a fuzzy edge here with the normal map. I realized what the mistake was. Basically what you need to do is we baked an 8-bit texture in Marmoset, and 8-bit turns out not to be quite enough information to accurately capture sort of the normal. So actually let me open the scene. So if you remember, that's our bake setup, and I had to go in the baker and change the format from 8 bits to 16 bits. That makes the file quite a bit larger, but it also gives a lot more information to work with. So this remains at linear, and now all the fuzzy edges are gone, and I changed this back to constant. Just move it out around a little bit as well. But now we have some very clean edges here everywhere. It looks very nice. And just to show you, by the way, what the normal map does, I realized one more thing. Anyway, like here it would be without the normal map. I mean, you can actually choose which one you like, but this has less detail, which could be a good thing. Here's the one with, so here you get more definition for that additional detail that we had in the high-res. But of course it's not all good. To be honest, I don't like how this part has more artifacts than smoothness. So if this would have been smoother, that would have been nice. But unfortunately I haven't yet looked into a way to mix that. I mean, we could theoretically come here and input a new color, RGB. We would need to set this to 0.5, 0.51. This is the color you need. And basically replace this texture with this color in all areas where you want to disable the normal map, so to say. Should we try that, if you guys are interested? I think like I should teach it just in case. I'm actually not even sure if it works. I'm just coming up with that right now. So basically you mix this color and this color, but instead of doing this here, it might be a bad idea. I'm not too sure. Anyway, you would now come in here, add an image texture. We of course would create a new one here. Let's call it reg n mask. First normal mask. It doesn't need to be that high res. I think 512 by 512 would be enough. No, we should go a bit higher. 1024, 1024. And then we put in the color here as a factor. So that now is at yeah, and don't forget to select image. That is now all set to black, so it should pass through the normal map as is. But if we go in here and paint something now, and we should texture paint, there we go. So these are the regions that we can paint now. I wonder if it goes on the right. Yeah, okay, we're on the right texture. And if we now paint this white, if I'm not mistaken, we can disable the normal map here. And see, I think it works. Kind of crazy, isn't it? Yeah, of course you're going to lose the detail then as well. That's not in the, you know, that wasn't in this model in first place. But it gives you the flexibility to do something that otherwise wouldn't have been possible. Alright, it is a bit scary though. I'm not sure how accurate this all is. It's not a well-tested method. It's just something that came up to my mind that should possibly work. And I would be careful not to go too far, because if there's any other UV island, which definitely there is something. So here we're already affecting the normal map of this little piece here. So we need to be careful not to overdo this, not to go into any regions where we shouldn't be touching anything. Let's just go in here and make sure we don't touch this too much. Anyway, this is just a demonstration, but yeah, the result is kind of good, so we'll keep it. It would be nice though to paint the detail back in our color texture, but for now, this is what we do. One more thing, make sure that when you create a texture in Blender, you must save it, because it's not saved by default. So with this, you go to Image, Save As, and then save it to wherever you want. In my case, I'll save it to... I'll make a folder here and call it Textures, and I'll just save my texture to here. There we go. Now this is saved and is loaded from here. Should have done this as a linear image actually. Well, it didn't really matter in this case, but I'll just switch it to that now. Alright, that was, now we got a little bit sidetracked, but anyway, that was a little bit of a lesson. Here is now our color texture, and we're going to load our color texture here, and this is going to be this file. And for this, we will also need our reference. So I'll split this view, and here we will load the reference image, and here I'm just going to use this to pick colors because I'm not that good with the whole color thing. I feel like there's going to be quite a few opportunities for us to do some extra details, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Alright, so then, basically, first thing we need to do is replace this node completely with this image texture. It's set to sRGB, that's good in this situation, and we can get started right away to just fill in a bunch of stuff. So let me disable this, by the way, so that we can see better. I'll select the helmet, I'll go into texture paint mode. Here in the tool settings, make sure that you're on the right texture. We need to be in the color texture, and also on the right material here. Here are now our brush settings, and here's the UVs. And all we need to do now is to pick our color, which is going to be the color of the helmet. And then we should be able to simply fill it. Now, I really wish I could work on a larger screen, but we should be able to just go here into their fill tool, use the fill tool, and click on that. Yeah, we just need to take the right color. So we undo that and fill that. And there we go. The helmet is already colored in the correct color, and we can move on to the next area. Let's just go to object mode again. Here I'll select the color. Let me try and see if we can do multiple parts at once. I have a feeling we won't be able to, but we can try. Texture paint, settings are correct. We will quickly pick the right color for this. It's a bit hard to pick the color here, but let's try to figure out something good. And then we just fill it again. And yeah, of course, wasn't possible to do that all at once, so we'll just go through each each of these objects and fill them with the same color. It would probably be a good idea to memorize the shortcut to switch between object mode and texture paint mode, but I don't have it in mind, so maybe I'll look it up until next time. Then we come over to this part. Here we'll pick the previous color we used here and fill it. Now for the skin, similar story for now. We'll just pick the base color of the skin. I have a feeling that that's actually a different color to the face. Let's see. No, it's the same. Okay, so that's no problem. Let's just fill it with that, and you really start to see now the character and all the details. It's really starting to come along. Here's, by the way, some artifacts of our clamping. On this part, we probably should not have that much of clamping. So you have to look a little bit at this on a case-by-case scenario. And I also think that my thickness is a bit too much after all. Maybe something like this would have been better. But we can also individually keep it low for just this part. Anyway, let's color this part quickly. We need to take this color again and fill it. Very quickly, all of this should come together. Let's do the ears next. With our skin tone. Then, yeah, here we have actually like a different color for the metal part. And I'm just going to select the arms here now in edit mode. And now we can go to texture paint mode. And if you click on a certain icon, which is this one here, paint mask, now you can only paint on this. And we just have to pick a nice metal color here, which would be probably here. It's a good spot to pick the color. Let's pick this color quickly. Yeah, it's kind of hard to pick a good color. And we'll fill that again. We can adjust these colors a bit later, and probably we'll end up using a different shader for this part anyway. The thing is, the way the shadow color is picked for metal parts and diffuse parts and skin is a little bit different, so we'll have to adjust the behavior here a bit later. I also feel that the outline doesn't really benefit from the clamping here, so we'll also turn this very low. Something like 0.2 should be good. We even get now some nice lines in between, and I think we'll also turn this thickness down. We probably will go ahead and turn the thickness for everything down as we go. I'm not sure if I like these lines in between though. Well, I can't really help it. I mean, we're going to paint them in anyway, but I don't like how from this perspective the line is in a completely wrong spot. Maybe we should use a bit more of the clamping, just so that we barely can't see the lines from this angle. It's a bit of a difficult situation, especially since we have such a low poly model this time around. It's even more difficult to get a nice balance for these numbers. Anyway, these are just some parameters to play around with. We'll just set some base colors for now. So this part has a lot of different colors used all throughout, but we'll just set it in one color at the moment, and later we'll go in and paint the details. It's a bit tedious, to be honest. We should do all the parts that have the same color at once if possible. So let's do the legs as well. Then we still have some more metal parts. So the fingers are metal. Let's fill these. Then I would say the badge is also kind of metal. Kind of isn't as well, don't you think? We also have metal on the elbows. Then we have these parts. Well, these are not metal. If anything else out of metal, I have a feeling that these parts would be metal, although I'm not too sure from the reference. Oh, and we have a part in the back here as well. Well, that can wait for later. We also need to select the part here inside. Yeah, we're starting to get some little texture artifacts here. These are the things we'll have to fix as we paint everything. I don't even know where I would look for that. Probably it's this one here, yeah. I don't know if there's any particular reason for that, but it can happen, I suppose. Well, now it's gone. Alright, well, that's the thing with Blender again. Definitely has some things that you need to be careful with. Here we go. We could have even left it black maybe to give it some more of a shadow effect. We could even, yeah, we'll look at that later. Then we have this part, which was a little bit of a greenish part, I believe, or gray it seems. Which color do we pick? Let's try this one. Yeah, that looks okay. And then we have four more parts. This one would be some sort of brown. Different color once again. Let's pick it. I'm just trying to always go for the brightest color, brightest version of the color, so that my shader can take care of the rest. Now this is the same color as that. That's convenient. Like this, and these two are again the same. It would be nice if we could make these a bit sharper, but it's kind of a bit too late. I realized that these are more kind of sharp, not soft like this. That was a bit of an oversight on my part, but well, it's going to be what it is. Do this and that. Alright, I think we set the base color for everything now. From here on, it's just going to be yeah, texturing the details. We'll have to paint in a bunch of lines and then the color regions as well. Now, one thing that I'm curious about though is, and I think I've kind of found the answer as I was doing it, I feel like we should keep all of our colors on one texture and do a separate texture for our outlines. The good thing about that is that it will give us control over the outline color, for example. So I'll quickly begin this and implement this into my setup here. Let me just quickly save the file, and we also need to save this texture. Make sure you don't forget about that. Just call that reg_c. And put that reference away for a moment. We'll create a new texture called reg, I don't know, outline. I feel like we have to go for a bit of a higher resolution. I don't really want to go for 4K, but we'll begin with 2048. And should be good. This is also not going to be an sRGB color space, but a linear color space instead. And finally, we'll just, well, first of all, let's save it among our textures. And now we'll implement it here. Now, where should we implement our colors? I feel like I'll try to put the outlines on top of everything and see if that works. Maybe though it will turn out that they should be below the highlight, so we'll see. Basically they would go in here. We'll just take a new color, mix RGB node. We'll then bring up an image texture. This is going to be our outline one. It's going to be a linear color space. This is going to go into the factor input, and here we'll be choosing our line color, which would ideally be the same that we chose for our outline material. So let's just copy this color and paste it into here. So then we just need to test it quickly. I'll go into paint mode, and here we'll go into, with this selected, go into texture paint, and it's really not enough space to work here, but if we now paint in white, that should give us there we go, that gives us an outline, and it's not super sharp, so that's probably a sign that we should have maybe worked with high resolution, but maybe it's not too bad either. It's actually just fine. If that's not sharp enough for you, you need to just increase the resolution of your texture, make it twice as much or something. So let me quickly try with my pen tablet to see what we can do. I believe that we don't want to use pressure sensitivity for this. See that it's a little bit, I think we have to go here to stroke and set the spacing to 1. Now the line should be smoother, but we will need a thicker line. So this might need to go to 10, radius of 10. And that's a bit too much. Maybe it's just 8. That seems like something we can work with. So the idea is going to be that we take this and we paint on our details. Well, now it's kind of like, wait, is that screen space? Oh, that's screen space. So there's probably some settings here. No, not this. I would have to look into the settings. I'm pretty sure there is a setting for that. Is it this one maybe? Oh, I think it's this here. No, it's not. Oh, whatever. Basically the size might be different depending on how far we're zoomed in at the moment, so we would need to change the settings so that it is based on the world and not the screen, or we just paint directly here on the texture. But this allows us basically to now go in here and to paint sort of the texture that is on, that we have on our reference. So we do something like this, and then here that, and here we have our line, and then we go to our color texture and we just fill in this area with the different color, which is going to be green maybe in this case. Also we have a belt here, and it's also marked nicely for us conveniently. Could go in here and just paint around here, do it maybe even on the mesh. And so this is going to be for our next video, and this is actually something I might do in a time lapse, because this kind of work can be really tedious and take hours as well, and I feel like this could get very boring very quickly. I will though spend some time to figure out the correct brush settings and texture settings and everything, and explain those first before we start to paint. And if there's any specific spot during the painting process where I really think that you guys should you know, listen to an explanation or something, then I'll stop probably and just give you a few comments. Yeah, I'm not the greatest painter as well, which is going to be a bit of an issue. But yeah, it looks awful now, but I promise it will look good. So there we go. Let me undo this. Oh, we don't want anything on texture now. I'll end this video at this point, and in the next one we'll finally do our remaining outlines and just bring this closer to a finished piece. So thank you all for watching as always, and I'll see you next time.